In this video, we are going to build and deploy a Tailwind CSS website. This is the perfect video to fully understand how Tailwind works. Now, if you have never used Tailwind before, that's fine. I am going to go over everything including how to get set up with the CLI. Tailwind is one of the fastest growing and promising CSS framework at the moment. It is different from other frameworks such as Bootstrap and Foundation. Before starting, I will cover all the basics of Tailwind that we need: installation, configuration, theme customization, and more. It is completely mobile responsive and it's going to work for tablet devices as well as the mobile devices, and it's going to look great on all of them. And we are gonna use the greatest strength of Tailwind called mobile fast breakpoint system, and you will see how easy to create fully responsive website using only class names. So let's get started. Now, to work with Tailwind, you need to first install Node.js in your local system. If you don't have it, go to nodejs.org, download it and install it. You can download the recommended version. Now the next thing you need is a code editor. I am gonna use in this course is Visual Studio Code or VS Code because it's a beautiful, lightweight and cross-platform editor. If you don't have it, you can download it from code.visualstudio.com and install it. So here is the VS Code. We are gonna install two extensions that make it easier to build reactions in VS Code. So open up the extensions panel on the left side and search for Tailwind CSS. Here is the extension, install it. Let's search for another extension, Live Server. Here is the extension, just install it. Now let's create an empty folder on our desktop. I am going to change the name Bank Website. I am going to drag and drop my folder that we just created. Nice. Back in the browser. So this is tailwindcss.com website and the docs are here, which are really good. Anything that you want to search for, if you are just putting colors here, you can see text color, border, background color, customization, and so on. You can find just about anything you want from this search box. And then there is a few ways that we can get started with Tailwind. So one is using the CDN, which is really simple. We just include the script tag here and then you can go on and you can use Tailwind classes. You can even add a config object in a script tag. So you can add some configuration. So that's one way to do it. And then there is the Tailwind CLI, which is what we are going to do. In this case, what we do is install Tailwind on our system and then we have it watch our HTML files that we are working on, and it will then compile any Tailwind classes we use. It will go ahead and compile a static style sheet that we can then include in our HTML. We are going to go ahead and open up the terminal. First thing we want to do is npm init-y. So that will initialize a package.json file. So you should see that here. And then we are going to install Tailwind as a dev dependency. So we do that with npm I, which is short for install, -D Tailwind CSS. So that's going to create a node modules folder which has all the dependencies for Tailwind. Here is the node modules folder, and then in your package.json file you should see your dev dependencies and you should see Tailwind CSS. Alright, now if we look at the documentation here, it's telling us to create a config file, and we can create that by running this command. So I'm going to copy this line and paste it right here. Now enter. You should get a Tailwind config file. and it's going to look like this by default. And here you can add like any custom colors or whatever any customizations you want. Now we do have to tell Tailwind where to look for the utility classes. So here they are saying look at the source folder and then look at any HTML and JavaScript files. Now if you want to use a source folder, you can. I'm just going to keep everything in the root since this is a really simple project and file structure. So in the content, I'm just going to do /* dot curly bracket html js. So basically it's just going to look for any HTML files in the root. Alright, so let's save this and close it up. If we look down here, it's saying to create input.css file. Obviously you can call this whatever you want and they put it in the source folder, but I'm just going to put it right in the root. So we will say input.css. Then we want to add these 3 lines. Now I'm going to copy these lines and paste it right here. So we have the base, the components and the utilities. So basically what Tailwind will do is watch this file, it's going to compile this and give us everything, all the Tailwind stuff. Now just save that and close it up. Below that, now it's telling us to run npx tailwind-i and then the input file -o and then the output file. In that case, they are saying they want to put it in a dist folder and then output.css file. And then what -- what does is constantly watch it and compile, which is what we are going to want to do in development. Now instead of typing all this out in the terminal, I am going to add a script in the package.json file. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Let's go into our package.json file. So right here, let's change test to build and then let's get rid of everything in here and we want it to run Tailwind CSS and then -i and then our input file, which is going to be ./input.css, and then we want to specify our output, which is I am going to do ./css/main.css. So basically it's going to watch this file and then this is going to be output. Now I want to copy this down and have the same things but add -- watch at the end, and then we just to change the name of this script to watch. Okay, so one will just run once build it and this one will constantly watch it. We should be able to run that even though we don't have an HTML file or anything yet. Now save the changes and now if we do npm run build, okay, you are going to see this message, no utility classes were detected in your source files. It's because we don't even have an HTML file with any classes in it, but you can see it did compile. And if we look up here, we now have a CSS folder and then this main.css file with all of our Tailwind stuff. Okay, so basically it just took that from this, turned it into the main.css file. Alright, let's go ahead and create an HTML file. So let's say index.html and we will just add a boilerplate. In here I will say banking website and then let's add a link here. This is going to go to our css/main.css. Okay, firstly I want to show you some features of Tailwind before starting our project, so it will be easier for beginners. So here I want to create a div and inside it let's say light code. Now save the changes, open up the terminal, you can press Ctrl J. Now let's run npm run watch. Now close up this terminal. You can click on this live server button and you should see light code text in the browser. Back to our code, I am gonna give here a class name and let's see what we can do. For example, we can change its color. I will say text. As you can see all those property, we can give any color like text red 500. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our text is red. Back to our code. We can give font size, so let's say text -4XL. I can give any padding like that. I can give background color, let's say BG dash, and you can see all those properties. Let's say BG-gray-800. Now save the changes. Great, you can see it's working. The padding, the font size, and the background color. I can give any width and height, let's say W-56. As you can see, this is the actual width, 14 rem or 224 pixel. This is our actual size. Let's say height, so H-32, and its actual size is 8 rem or 128 pixel. Now save the changes. Now you can see our width and height. We can also add our custom colors. So let me show you how it works. Let's go into our tailwind.config.js file. We would add our custom colors within this extend object. So we can say colors colon curly brackets, let's say color dash primary colon hashtag 01051E. Now save the changes. Now we can add this color. Let's go into our index.html file, and in here let's say bg-color-primary. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our primary color. Now if we change our color, let's say red, now save the changes, you can see our background color is red. So that's way we can add our custom color. So I have a few other colors that I want to add here, and instead of typing them out, I am just going to go ahead and paste them in. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, and you can see our primary color. So it works like that, and it's very easy for all those properties. You can check the documentation of Tailwind. You will find everything here. I am not gonna explain everything one by one, it's gonna take hours. But what I want to say is, do not try to memorize anything. Just use this documentation and just open up this page whenever you need. There is one more important thing, and it's responsive design. This is a great feature of Tailwind CSS because it actually uses mobile first approach. If you used any other framework like Bootstrap, probably you are familiar with it. Let me show you how it works. Basically, when you write any CSS property, it applies for the small screen first. There are some common breakpoints here like small screen, medium screen, large screen, XL and 2XL. And everything you write here applies for the small screen first. So if you want to change your CSS style for other screens, you have to indicate them, otherwise it's gonna apply for all screens. Let me look at our design. As you can see, nothing is changing. So let's say I want to change its height between the small screen and medium screen. So to do that, we have to use breakpoint prefix. So in here, let's say md:h-48. Now save the changes. As you can see, it's still the same, but if I move this screen, and as you can see, it's getting bigger in this point because it's our breakpoint. If I came here and let's say for medium screen, our text will be white. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our text is white. If we move this screen, you can see our text is red. So this is our breakpoint of medium screen. So it works like that. Now we can focus our main project. Now you can see the final version. First we can focus on our navbar. Essentially it contains a logo in the left side and some navigation links and a button in the right side. If we move the screen, you can see that on a small screen the nav items and the button are going to be hidden, and you can see the hamburger icon. And if I click on hamburger icon, you will see the close icon and the navigation items. So I will show you how to do that. Back to our code, let's get rid this div. Now I am going to add a header tag. Inside it we are going to use a nav tag, and the first utility class I am going to use container. Container does not automatically put the container in the middle and add the margin auto. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Temporarily I am going to give this a background color, so I will say bg-blue-500, and inside it let's say light code for now. Save the changes. Back in the browser. Alright, so you can see that it does have a container that pertains to the screen size, but it's not in the middle, so we have to do that ourselves. So we can add an mx-auto. mx is going to be on the x-axis, so it's a margin on the right and left. Now if I save that, it's going to be put in the middle. We can add some padding, so let's say p-6. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, you can see the padding. This is one way to put the container in the middle. We have another way to put the container in the middle. So let me show you how it works. Let's go into our tailwind.config.js file, and inside this theme object and just below the extend component right here, we can say container :curly brackets center true. Now save it. Let's go into our index.html file. I am going to remove this class name. Now save it. Back in the browser. Now you can see our container is still in the middle position. Let's go into our tailwind.config file. We can add some padding. So let's say padding :curly brackets default 20 pixel, and for the medium screen and up 50 pixel. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, you can see the padding. Let's go into our index.html. Now I can get rid this background color. Now I am going to create two divs. First one is for the left side and the second one is for the right side. In the left side we have the logo. I am going to add a tag, and in here let's say home. Inside it I am gonna create a span tag, let's say light, and in here let's say dot. Inside it I am going to add a ul tag, and inside this ul tag I am going to create a list item, and in here I am going to add a tag, let's say home. Also in here let's say home. Let's create a link for the features, testimonials, pricing, blog, and finally contact. We also have a button, so let's do that. I am going to add li tag and then a button tag, let's say free trial. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our raw content. First I am going to add our background color. So inside our body element I am going to add a class bg-color-primary. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, you can see our background color. Back to our code, I am going to add text color. So let's say text-color-white, and these colors is coming from here. Also I am going to add letter spacing, so let's say tracking-wider. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our text is white. Let me look at the reference design. We want the navigation link to sit on the same line. So how can we make that happen? Well, you can see these elements live within this nav. So we can add display flex, or simply we can say flex. Now save the changes. This is what we want. The logo and the navigation links are now sitting side by side, but we want these navigation links in the right side. So in here we can add justify content space between, or we can say in Tailwind justify between, and align items center, or we can say in Tailwind items center. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our navigation links in the right side. This is what we wanted. Now first let's focus on this logo. In this div I am going to add a class. Give it a width 20, it means width 80 pixel. Give it a padding top and bottom, PY-5. Let's say text-color secondary. Give it a font weight bold, you can say font-bold. Give it a font size, you can say text-3XL. In our span tag I am going to add a class name. Give it a text color -y. Now save the changes. Now it's looking nice. Let's focus on these navigation links. In here I am going to add a class. Let's say flex items center. I am going to add a bit of horizontal spacing, so space -x-6. Now save it. Back in the browser. Now it's looking nice. Let's add a hover effect when you mouse over one of these navigation links. If we look at the reference design, you can see that they turn secondary color. So let's do that. In here I am going to add a class. We can add our hover by writing hover : and then text-color secondary space is-in and the duration -200. I am going to copy this class name and I am going to paste this class for every single list. Now save it. Now it's working great. Let's focus on this button. Back to our code. I am going to add a class. Let's say bg-color secondary space. I am going to give it a horizontal padding, so px9, and also give it a vertical padding, so py3. I am going to give border radius, so you can say rounded medium space text transform capitalize, font weight bold, so font bold, and finally a hover effect, so hover : opacity -80 is in, and finally duration 200. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now it's looking great. One thing I want to show you that we are using text for the logo, so we don't need to use width. So let's get rid this width. If you use image tag in here, then you can add width in here. Let's look at the reference design. When we move the screen, we want to hide the navigation link. Actually, we want to change this to be our hamburger. And if we click on this hamburger icon, you can see the close icon and the navigation links. Let's start worrying about this design. First, we want to hide this link on our smaller screen. And then we want to add our hamburger icon. So let's add here hidden. And then we want to show them on large screen and up. So let's say LG:flex. Now save it. Let's test this out. This is our breakpoint and it's working great. Next we want to add hamburger icon and close icon. To do that, first we need to import our hamburger icon and close icon. To achieve that, we need to add a link of font awesome. So open up a new tab, go to cdnjs.com, and in here let's search for font awesome. Here is the font awesome, and you can copy font awesome link by clicking on this button. Now above right here below this link, I am going to paste that link, and below this div, let's say mobile screen, I am going to create a new div, and inside it I am going to add hamburger icon. So let's say I tag, give it a class equal to fa-solid space fa-bars. Give it an ID hamburger. Also give it a class. We want to hide this hamburger menu on our large screen. So LG:hidden. Let's say cursor pointer. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our navigation links on our large screen, and you can see hamburger icon on our smaller screen. Let's go ahead and create navigation links for mobile screen. I am going to add a new div. Inside it, let's add UL tag. From here, let's copy this link, and inside this UL tag, I am going to paste these links. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our links for the mobile version. Let's add some design. Give it an ID equal to menu. Give it a class name equal to, give it a background color. So let's say bg-color-primary-dark. Let's say height 100 VH, position absolute, and then inset 0. Give it a class equal to height full, display grid, and then place item center. So let's say place dash items dash center, and finally give it a padding on top and bottom 20. Now save it. Back in the browser, now it's look great. Let me look at the reference design. At first we need to hide our navigation link, and then when we will click on our hamburger icon, we want to show our navigation links and the close icon. To achieve that, we need to add some JavaScript. So let's do that. So at first we want to hide these links. So in here, let's add hidden. Now save it so you can't see the navigation links. Now we want to add JavaScript. Below this header tag, I am going to add a script tag. Inside it, let's say mobile menu. Now I am going to target this hamburger ID. So let's say constant hamburger equal to document dot query selector and then hamburger ID. Then I am going to target this menu ID. So I am going to duplicate this line, and in here let's say menu. Let's add an ID for each a tag. So let's say ID equal to h link. Now I am going to copy this ID and paste it for each a tag, and let's target this ID. So I am going to duplicate this line, and in here let's say h link. Finally we want to target this class. So below this h link, I am going to add constant fa solid document dot query selector and then fa solid class. So let's say dot fa dash solid. Let me look at the reference design. When we will click on our hamburger icon, we want to show these nav links. So how can we make that happen? And also we want to add this close icon. To achieve that, we want to remove this navigation class. So what can we do? We are going to target this ID. So let's say hamburger, add event listener, and then click arrow function. Now we want to remove this class. So what can we do? We can say menu dot class list dot remove and then hidden. If we want to add or remove any class, we can use toggle. So we are going to use here toggle. And then let's add close menu. So let's say fa solid dot class list dot toggle, and then let's say fa dash x mark. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, we notice that we cannot see the close icon. So we are going to add in here z index. So z-50. Now save it. Back in the browser, let's test this out. It's working great. Let me look at the reference design. Now we want to add one more thing, that when we click on navigation link, we want to hide these navigation links. So let's do that. Below this line, I am going to target age link for each parenthesis, then link, arrow function, curly brackets. Now I am going to target each link. So let's say link dot add event listener, click, and then the arrow function, curly brackets. Let's copy this line and paste it right here. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now if we click on our link, it is not working because add this ID yet. We will add this section ID later. So if we remove this ID, now save it. Back in the browser, now you can see it is working. So for now our navigation is complete. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus on this area. Essentially, it contains a title, a paragraph and a beautiful button in the left side and a beautiful image in the right side. So let's start worrying about this design. We can undo our link here. Below this header tag, I would add a main tag, and this is going to be the home section. So I am just going to use a section and give it an ID of home. Keep in mind, we want it as a row on medium screen and we want to stack as a column on a smaller screen. So let's do that. Inside this section tag, let's add a div. I am going to give it a class equal to container, give it a padding on top and bottom, so py-20. Inside it, let's create a new div, and then on more div for the left side, let's have a h1 tag. I'm going to copy this title and paste it right here. Below that, let's add a p tag. Let's copy this paragraph and inside it paste it here. Below that, let's add a button tag. You can see we already created our button, so I'm going to copy this button and paste it right here. Let's change this to download app. Below this div, I am going to add on more div for the image. Inside it, let's add an image tag. I am going to add some images that we are going to be using. You can see our images, and in here let's say ./image/hero4.png. Now save the changes. You can see our raw content. Now we can add some CSS. As I said, on the smaller screen we want it as a column, so give it a class equal to flex space flex dash column. Let's say items center, it means align items center. Give it a z index z-20. Now save it, and on the medium screen we want it as a row, so in here let's say md colon flex dash row. Now save it. Now let's focus on the left side. Give it a class. On the smaller screen we want it as a text center. Give it a margin bottom mb-12, and on the medium screen we want it as a md-text left with 50%, so w-half, and margin right er10, that means 40 pixel. Let's design our title. So in here give it a class equal to text-3xl. On our medium screen it would be text 4xl. Font bold. Give it a line height, so let's say leading dash snack. Let's design our paragraph. Give it a line height, so let's say leading dash relax. Give it a margin bottom, so mb-10. And finally in here let's say class equal to medium screen width would be 50%. Now save it. Back in the browser, let's add some space between title and the paragraph. So in here let's say margin bottom, so mb-4. Save it. Now it's looking great. Let me look at the reference design. We are going to reuse our button across multiple sections. So whenever in Tailwind you want to reuse something across many sections in many different places, create a new class of it. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Let's go into our input.css. Below these utilities, I am going to create a new rule. Let's say btn curly brackets. Let's say apply. Now I am going to cut button classes. So let's cut these classes and paste it right here, semicolon. Now save it, and in here let's say button class. Also you can use the button class in here, so let's get rid these classes and let's say btn. Now save it. Back in the browser, now you can see nothing is changing. Button is working great. So whenever in Tailwind you want to reuse something, you can create a specific class, and that way you would not have to write all the code every time. You will just be able to write your specific class. Also we can create a specific class for the title. So let's say title curly brackets. Now I am going to cut these classes and in here let's say title. Now save the changes. Let's go into our index.css and in here let's say apply and paste that classes. Don't forget to add semicolon. Now save it back in the browser. Now you can see it's working great. Let me look at the reference design. You can see there are two beautiful blobs. So let's work on that. Let's go into our index.html. Below this section tag, I am going to add a new div. I am gonna give here a class and then I am going to add width, height and background color of that blob. So let's add width by writing W-80 and height H-80. Background color will be bg-color-blob. This color is coming from here. Now save the changes. Alright, that's a start. Let's fix the position. Back to our code. In our section tag, give it a class of relative. And in here, let's say position absolute, top 0 and left -5. So we can write minus left -5. Give it a z index -z-10. I'm gonna add blur -2xl, opacity -30, overflow hidden, and finally a rounded full. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now it's looking very nice. Now let's focus on this blob. I am going to copy this entire div and below this div I am going to paste here. And then let's change this color from color blob to secondary. Let's get rid top 0 and minus left 5 and I am going to add bottom 10 and right 0. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now in this position our header section is complete. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus on this section. Essentially it contains a subtitle and a title, and below that we have 3 different cards. Back to our code. Below this section tag, let's have a new section tag, and that section tag is going to have an ID equal to features. I'm gonna give here a class and I want to add background color with bg-color-primary-light. Inside it we want to add a container div and I'm gonna give here some padding vertically with py-20. Inside it let's have one more div. Inside it let's have an h4 tag, and in here let's say our future. Below that let's have an h1 tag. Let's copy this text and paste it right here. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now you can see our raw content. Let's style these 2 elements. Here is what we want to look like. Back to our code. I am gonna give here a class. First we want to center our content. So let's say text-center. Margin auto. I want to add some margin bottom with MB-20. For the medium screen and up, we want to add width 50%. Give it here a class name. Font weight will be bold. Text color will be text-color-secondary. and I want to add some margin bottom with MB-4. And finally I want to add here a class name of title, which is coming from here. Now save the changes. Now it's looking nice. Now let's focus on this card section. Below this div, let's have a new div. Inside it, let's say card number 1, and below that let's create one more div, and in here let's say card number 1. I'm gonna duplicate this line 2 more times, and in here let's say card number 2 and card number 3. Now save the changes, and here they are. It's not looking that great just yet, but we are gonna work on that. We want the cards to display in 3 columns like this. So let's define this wrapping div as a grid container, and since I want 3 columns, I'm gonna go with grid-calls-3. Alright, that's a start, and we understand a little bit better what space each of these columns is using. I'm going to add a border around each. So in here let's say class equal to border-2 border-solid, and border color will be gray. Let's copy this class and paste it here and here. Now save the changes. You can see that we don't have any space or any gap between each of the card. So in here let's say gap-12, and for the large screen we want to add gap-8. Also I want to add some padding horizontally. Now save the changes. Now it's looking good. One more thing I want to add, that we want 3 columns on large screen like this, we want 2 columns on medium screen, and we want 1 column on smaller screen. Okay, let me show you what I mean. In here I want 3 columns on medium screen, so let's say LG:grid-calls-3, and on medium screen and up we want grid-calls-2. And also for padding I want to add px-6 for small screen and px-8 for large screen. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see 1 column for small screen, 2 columns for medium screen, and 3 columns for large screen. Now let's add some content inside our card. Let's get rid this text. Let's have a new div, and inside it I'm gonna use calendar icon. So let's say I tag, give it a class equal to fa-solid and fa-calendar-days. This is the calendar icon which is coming from Font Awesome. Below this div, let's have an h3 tag, and in here let's say expense tracking. Below this h3 tag, let's have a p tag. I'm going to copy this text and paste it right here. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our raw content. Let's add some CSS. In here let's say text will be center. I want to add padding horizontally with py20 and also vertically px5. Border radius will be rounded -2xl. Cursor will be pointer. Now I want to add hover effect, so hover : bg color -primary -dark. Transition will be each-in and duration will be 200. I want to add some CSS for this icon, so in here let's say class equal to background color will be secondary, display will be inline block, border radius will be rounded -2xl. I want to add some padding vertically with py-5 and also horizontally px-6. I want to increase the font size of this icon, so let's say text 4xl. Let's add some CSS for this card title, so give it here a class equal to text will be xl, font weight will be bold, and I want to add some padding vertically with py-4. And finally I want to add some CSS for this paragraph, so let's say class equal to leading-relax. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now it's looking good. Let's do that for the other cards. I am going to copy this card number 1 and I want to remove these two divs, and below this div I am going to paste card number 1, and in here let's say card number 2. Below that I am going to paste one more time, and in here let's say card number 3. Now we want to change our content. So in here let's say finance snapshot, and in here let's say support 24/24, and finally I want to add here a background color with bg-color-primary dark. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now it's looking great. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus on this section. Essentially it contains a beautiful image in the left side and some content and button in the right side, and you can see there are two blobs. Back to our code. Below this section tag let's have a new section tag, and that section tag is going to have an ID of saving-money. Inside it we want to add a container div. I am gonna give some padding vertically with py-20, and position will be relative. Inside it let's have a new div, and also inside it let's have a new div for the left side image and one more div for the right side content. So in here we'll add an image tag and write the file path .image/hero3.png. Inside it I am going to copy subtitle and title from home section. So I am going to copy this subtitle and title, and in here I am going to paste that. Below that I am going to add an p tag. Let's copy this text and paste it right here. Below that I am going to add a button tag. So let's say button with button class name, and in here let's say read more. Back in the browser. Now you can see our image and our content. Now let's add some CSS and change the content. I am going to copy this subtitle and paste it here. Let's copy this title and paste it here. Now let's add some CSS. So in here give it a class. I want to add display, and the display will be flex. Flex direction will be column. So flex-col. Align items will be center. So items-center. Justify content will be space between. So we can say justify-between. And for the medium screen and up, flex direction will be row. In here let's add a class equal to. I want to add some margin bottom. So let's say MB-12, and for the medium screen and up, width will be 50%. Now let's add some CSS for the content. So in here let's say class equal to. Text align will be center, and for medium screen and up, text will be left, width will be 50%, and I want to add some margin left with ML-20. I want to add some margin bottom for the title, so MB-4, and finally in here let's say class equal to leading-relaxed and MB-10. Now save the changes. You can see it looks good. Let me look at the reference design. Now we want to add these blobs. You can see we already did this at the header section. So we can just copy and paste these blobs. Or we can create a class name inside input.css file. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Inside our home section, there are two blobs. I am going to cut these class names. Let's go into our input.css file, and below this title rule, I am going to add a new rule. Let's say blob1 curly brackets, and in here let's say apply space. I am going to paste those classes. Don't forget to add semicolon. Now save it, and in here let's say class equal to blob1. Again I am going to cut these classes. Let's go our input.css file, and below this blob on rules I am going to add a new rule. Let's say dot blob 2 curly brackets. Let's say apply space. I am going to paste those classes and then semicolon. Now save the changes. Let's go into our index.html file, and in here let's say blob2. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, you can see nothing is changing. The blobs are still working. Back to our code. I am going to copy these blobs. I will scroll down, and inside this saving money section and also inside this container I am going to paste those blobs. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our blobs are working, and in this position our saving money section is complete. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus how it works section. Back to our code. Below this section tag, let's have a new section tag, and that section tag is going to have an ID of how it works. Also I am gonna add a class name. So let's say class equal to, I want to add background color with bg-color-primary-light. Inside it we want to add a container div. I'm gonna give here some padding with py-20. Inside it I will add subtitle and title, but we already have subtitle and title inside our features section. So I am going to copy this div. I will scroll down, and in here I am going to paste that div. Now let's change the content. Let's copy the subtitle and paste it here. Again let's copy this title and paste it here. Save the changes. Now it's looking nice. Below this div, let's have a new div. Inside it, let's say card1. Below that, let's have a new div, and inside it I want to create an p tag. In here let's say 1. Now I will scroll up, and inside our feature section, inside our card number 1, we have h3 and p tag. I am going to copy these tags. I will scroll down, and below this p tag I am going to paste those tags. And in here first let's get rid this text, and let's say install the app. Now save it. Now you can see our content of card number 1. Now I want to add more CSS. In here give it a class equal to display will be flex, flex direction will be column, align items will be center, justify content will be space between. I want to add some space. Now for the medium screen and up, flex direction will be flex true. We don't want any space vertically, we want space horizontally. So space -x-6. This div is going to have a class name equal to text align will be center, cursor will be pointer. Inside it I want to add one more div, and I am going to move this p tag inside this div, and that div is going to have a class name equal to position will be relative, background color will be primary dark, so we can say bg-color-primary dark. Display will be inline block. I want to add some padding horizontally with px6 and vertically py3. Border radius will be rounded and select the large one. Cursor will be pointer. Now I want to add some hover effect. So let's say hover : background color will be secondary. So we can say bg-color-secondary. Transition will be ease in. Duration will be 200. This p tag is going to have a class name equal to. I want to increase font size with text -6xl. And now I am going to copy this div, and below that div I am going to paste 2 more times. In here let's say card number 2 and here card number 3. Let's get rid this text and let's say set up your profile. Below that in here let's say enjoy the features. Also in here let's say 2 and here 3. I will scroll up. In here I want to remove this hover effect, this duration and transition, and also I want to remove this background color because the background color will be secondary color. Now save it. Back in the browser. Now it's looking nice. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus on this dot line. Actually these are images and we want to add this dot line only for large screen. We don't need these lines on the medium screen or small screen. So how can we make that happen? Back to our code. Inside this p tag I am going to add .image. So only for the large screen we have to add lg : and then we want to add pseudo element after. So let's say after : so basically here lg : which is for large screen and after : which is for pseudo element of after. Now we can add our CSS here. So first I want to add content dash empty string and then large : after : display will be flex, and then I want to add .image with bg-url parenthesis and then the file path. So in here let's say /image/line.png, and this image is coming from here. After that position will be absolute, top will be top-4, left will be left-32, and on the 2xl screen the left will be 52. Background repeat will be no repeat. I want to add some height with h-7 and also I want to add some width with w-52. Now I am going to copy these classes. I will scroll down. Now inside our card number 2 and inside this p tag, in here I am going to paste those classes. Now I want to change the image of card number 2 and that will be line-bottom. We have to add square bracket here. I will scroll up. Also in here I have to add square bracket. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now you can see our images. It's looking very nice on our large screen, also on our medium screen. And in this position, this section is complete. Now we can focus on this section. Back to our code. Before we go to our next section, I want to fix some minor thing. So I will scroll down and inside our card number 2, I want to add here top dash 10. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now it's looking good. I will scroll up and inside this section I want to change the icon. Back to our code. I will scroll up and inside this feature section I want to change FA-calendar-days to FA-chart-column. Again I will scroll down and in here let's say FA-phone. Now save the changes. Now it's looking nice. Back to our code. Now we can start working on our new section. So below this section tag, let's have a new section tag, and that section tag is going to have an ID of testimonial. Inside it we want to add a container div. I am gonna give here some padding vertically with py-20. I will scroll up and inside how it works section I am going to copy this div. I will scroll down and inside this container div I am going to paste that div. Now let's copy this subtitle and paste it right here. Again let's copy this title and paste it right here. Now save the changes. Now it's looking nice. Below this div I want to add user's image. So let's say a review container. Let's have a new div. Inside it let's have one more div, and inside this div I want to add an image tag. So write the file path .image/user1.jpg. I am going to duplicate these lines and in here let's say user2, user3, user4 and user5. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our users images. So let's start working on it. Back to our code. I want to give here a class equal to, I want to add some margin top, so let's say empty-8. Give it a class equal to display will be flex, align items will be center, justify content will be center, flex wrap will be wrap. In here give it a class name equal to, I want to add some height, also some width, border radius will be rounded full, I want to add some padding and margin, cursor will be pointer, and here I want to add a custom style, let's say user-pic. Now let's copy these classes. Now I want to add for each image. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. For now it's looking nice. Back to our code. Below this div I am going to add a new div. Inside it let's have a new div. Now I want to add a paragraph. Let's copy this paragraph and paste it right here. Below this paragraph let's have an h4 tag. In here let's say markin nessus. Below this h4 tag let's have a new paragraph, and in here let's say iOS developer. Now save the changes. Back in the browser you can see our raw content. Let's add some style. In here let's say class equal to display will be grid, place items will be center, text align will be center, margin auto. For medium screen and up width will be 80%. Minimum height will be 40 viewport. In here let's say class equal to, I want to add here a custom class, so let's say user dash text. Let's style this paragraph, so give it here a class equal to, for medium screen and up text will be 2XL. I want to add some margin bottom, so let's say MB-6. Let's style this H4 tag, so give it here a class equal to, font size will be bold, text color will be secondary, and finally I want to add some margin bottom, so MB-1. Now I want to duplicate this div, so let's copy this div, and below this div I want to paste 4 more times, and let's change the content. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our raw content. Now we want to add some JavaScript. Back to our code, I will scroll down. Now below this mobile menu function, let's say testimonial. First I want to target user text. So first I want to add user text, this one. So I'm going to copy user text, and in here we will add constant user text equal to document dot get element by class name, and in here let's say user text. Now I am going to duplicate this line. Now in here I want to target user pic. Let's change this user text to user pic, and this user pic is coming from here. Now we have to add click feature in these images. So here we will add one click equal to one function name here. So we will add show review. Now we have to add the same thing in other images, because we will add the same click function in all images. So I am going to copy on click function. I am going to paste in here, 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 and finally here. After adding this, we have to define this function. Let's come back here. In here let's say function show review curly brackets. You can see we have a circle in our active user. So first let's add this CSS. I will scroll up, and in here let's say active dash pic. Let's go into our input.css. Below this rule I want to add a new rule, user dash pic dot active dash pic curly brackets. Border will be 2 pixel solid and then color. Now save it. Let's go into our index.html. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our border. Back to our code. Again, for our user text, I want to add here active dash text. Now save it. Let's go into our input.css. Now in here I want to add a new rule, user dash text curly brackets, display will be none, and below this rule I want to add one more rule, dot user dash text dot active dash text curly brackets, display will be block. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now it's looking nice. Now we want to add some more JavaScript. Let's go into our index.html file. I will scroll down, and inside this function we have to hide the circle from the user's picture. So here we will add for loop, and in here let's say user pic of user pics curly brackets. In here let's add user pic dot class list dot remove, and then active pic. So whenever this function will be called, it will remove the active pic class name. Again, in here let's write for loop. In here let's say user text of user text curly brackets. In here let's say user text dot class list dot remove, and in here let's say active dash text. Back in the browser, you can see if I click on this image, it's not working. So let's go to inspect and then console. href.forEach is not a function. Back to our code. Now in here that should be query selector wall. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, and you can see if I click here, it is removing the circle from the image and the text here. Next we have to add the circle on the particular image and it will display the text of the particular user. So here I will add let I equal to array dot from user pics dot index of event dot target. So it will get the index of the clicked image. Next we have to apply the active class name on the particular image. So here we will add user pics I dot class list and then dot add, and in here we will add the class name active dash pic. So it will add the border of the particular image. Save the changes. If we click on this image, you can see it's removing the border from this image and it's adding the border of the particular image. Next we want to add some text for the particular image. Let's duplicate this line and in here let's say active text and here let's say user text. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see it's working great, but right now it is changing immediately. We need some animation. Back to our code, let's go into our index.css file. Inside this active text and below this display, let's add animation. Move up 1 second, linear, forwards. Below this rule, I am going to add a new rule dot user dash pic. Transition will be all 0.2 second is. Let's copy this animation and below this one, let's say keyframes and then move up curly brackets. At the 0%, margin top will be 40 pixel and opacity will be 0. Next, at the 50%, margin top will be 20 pixel, opacity will be 0.1, and finally at the 100%, margin top will be 0 pixel and opacity will be 1. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now it's working nice. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus on this section. You can see there are 3 cards, and if I click on this toggle switch button or on off button, you can see it's flipping and rotating on 80 degree. So let's start working on this. Back to our code, let's go into our index.html file. Below this section tag, let's have a new section tag, and that section tag is going to have an ID equal to pricing. Give it a class equal to, I want to add background color with bg-color-primary -light. Inside it, let's have a div, and that div is going to have a class equal to container. I want to add some padding vertically with py20. Now I will scroll up and I am going to copy this div from how it works section. I will scroll down, and in here I am going to paste that div. Let's copy this subtitle and paste it right here, and let's copy this title and paste it right here. Below this h1 tag, I want to add rounded switch button. So let's have a div, and that div is going to have a class equal to, I want to add margin top, display will be flex, align items will be center, justify content will be center, and gap will be gap-4. Inside it, let's have a paragraph, and in here let's say bill monthly. Below this paragraph tag, I want to add label tag. Give it a class equal to position will be relative, display will be inline block. I want to add width and height. Border radius will be rounded full. Inside it, let's have an input tag. Type will be checkbox. I will add an ID equal to toggle btn. Give it a class equal to, I will add pair, opacity will be 0, width 0, and height 0. Below this input tag, let's have a span tag. Give it a class equal to position will be absolute, top 0, left 0, right 0, and bottom 0. Background color will be primary light, so bg dash color dash primary light. I want to add border, and then border will be solid, border color will be gray, border radius will be rounded full, duration 300. Now I want to add pseudo element before, content will be empty, before colon, position will be absolute. I want to add width and height, bottom will be bottom 1, and left will be left 1, border radius rounded full, background color will be white, duration will be 300. Now pair check before, translate x will be 12, and pair check background color will be secondary. And finally, below this label tag, I want to create a paragraph. Let's say bill annually. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now it's looking nice. Now let's focus on our card. Now below this div, let's have a new div, and that div is going to have a class equal to display will be grid, gap 5, for medium screen and up, grid dash calls will be 2, and for large screen and up, grid dash calls will be 3. Inside it, let's say card 1. Below that, let's have a new div, and that div is going to have a class equal to, I want to add a custom class. Let's say card. Position will be relative, height auto, and width auto. You can see there are two parts of each card. One is front part and another is back part. So here let's say front side. Below that, let's have a new div, and in here let's say front side. In here give it an ID equal to card underscore 1 underscore front. Give it a class equal to, I want to add a custom class. Let's say front. I want to add some padding horizontally, so let's say px-7, and also vertically let's say py-11. Border radius will be rounded, and select the 2xl. Border 2, border will be solid, border color will be gray, height full, and width will be full. Let's duplicate this div. In here let's say back, here also back side. In here let's say card underscore 1 underscore back. Here let's say back. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now you can see our front side and back side of card number 1. In here let's say position will be absolute, top 0, left 0. Now save it. Now I want to add more CSS. Let's copy this card class. Let's go into our input.css, and below this keyframe I am going to create a new rule, dot card curly brackets. Perspective will be 1000 pixel. Below that I am going to create a new rule, dot front curly brackets, and also for the back, dot back face visibility will be hidden, transition will be all 0.4 second each. Below that let's say dot front curly brackets, overflow will be hidden. Now save the changes. Now let's go into our tailwind.config.js file. In here I am going to add plugin. So first I am going to import plugin. So above here let's say const plugin equal to require Tailwind CSS / plugin. Now in here you can add a plugin name. You can name it whatever you want, but I want to go with rotate Y. Let's copy this plugin, and above here let's say const rotate Y equal to plugin parenthesis function, and then add utilities curly brackets. Again let's say add utilities, and it allows us to register new static utility styles. So in here let's say dot rotate -y -180 semicolon curly brackets, transform will be rotate y 180 degree. Let's duplicate this one, and in here let's say minus rotate -y -180 degree, transform will be rotate y -180 degree. Now we can use this class name inside our index.html file. So save the changes. Let's go into our index.html file. We don't need this one, and here let's add cursor will be pointer. Now save the changes. I will scroll down, and inside this backside in here let's say rotate -y -180. Back in the browser, now let's add more content on our front side. Let's get rid this one, and in here let's say div, and that div is going to have a class equal to position will be relative. Inside it let's add a paragraph. In here let's say 20, and then let's create a span tag. In here let's say per month. Let's style this p tag, give it a class equal to font size will be text -6xl. I want to add padding left with PL-2. Font weight will be bold. Now I want to add before pseudo element. So before colon content $. Before position will be absolute. Before text small. Before colon top 0. Before colon left 0. In here give it a class equal to text will be small one, font size will be normal. I want to add some letter spacing, so let's say tracking widest. Below this div let's have a new div, and that div is going to have a class equal to, I want to add some padding vertically with py10. Inside it, let's have an h3 tag, and in here let's say basic. Give it a class equal to text dash XL, font will be bold. I want to add some padding bottom with pb3. Below that, let's have a paragraph. Let's copy this paragraph and paste it here, and in here let's say class equal to leading relax. Below this div, I want to add unordered list, so let's say ul, give it here a class name equal to space dash y dash 4 pb dash 10. In here let's say li. Inside it, let's add an icon. Give it a class equal to fa-solid space fa-bookmark space text color will be secondary. Now below this icon, I am going to add a span tag, and in here let's say expense management. Give it a class. I want to add some padding left with pl-4. Let's copy this list item, and I am going to paste 4 more times. Let's change this content name. And let's change the icon color. In here, color will be gray. Also here and here. And finally, we want to add button tag. So let's say button, and in here let's say get started. Give it a class equal to card_btn. Now we want to create this card_btn class. So I'm going to copy this class name. Let's go into our input.css file. Below this btn class, I'm going to add .card_btn curly brackets. Let's say apply. Width will be full. I want to add some padding horizontally and vertically. Background color will be primary dark, and then rounded, select the medium one. Text transform, capitalize. Font weight will be bold. Now I want to add some hover effect, so hover : background color will be secondary, is in, and duration will be 200. Now save the changes. Let's go into our index.html file. Now save it, and in here let's say py-3. Now save the changes. Now it's looking nice. Now I am going to add some JavaScript to flip our card. First, I am going to target toggle button. So let's copy this ID. I will scroll down, and at the very bottom below this function, let's say const toggle button equal to document.getElement by ID, and then toggle button. And then I want to target front side of card number 1. So let's say const card_1 underscore front equal to document.querySelector, and then the ID card_1 underscore front. Again, let's duplicate this line. Now I want to target the back side of card number 1. So in here let's say back, and here let's say back, and then in here let's say toggle btn dot add event listener, and in here let's say change arrow function card_1 front dot class list dot toggle. In here I want to add minus rotate dash y dash 180, and this one is coming from here. Let's duplicate this line. In here let's say back and delete the minus. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now if I click on this toggle button, nice, it's working. You can see the back side of this card. Now we can add content for the back side. I will scroll up and let's get rid this text. Again I will scroll up. I am going to copy from here to this button. So let's copy this and I am going to paste here. Now let's change the content. In here let's say 500. Here let's say premium and save it. Back in the browser. Now you can see our backside is also looking good. Now I am going to copy the entire div of card number 1 and paste it for the card number 2. Now I am going to change some things that we needed. In here let's say card 2. In here let's say card underscore 2 underscore front. I will scroll down. In here let's say card underscore 2 underscore back. I will scroll down and let's do that for card number 3. Let's change this one, card 3, and here will be 3. I will scroll down and here also will be 3. Now save the changes. One more thing we have to do. I will scroll down. We have to add some JavaScript for the card number 2 and 3. Let's copy these 2 lines and paste it for card number 2. In here let's say 2. Again let's do that for card number 3. In here I will do same thing. Let's copy this one and paste for the card number 2. Below that let's paste for the card number 3. Now save the changes. It's looking nice. Let's test this out. It's working good. Now we can change our content like this. So I am going to change our content. Now save the changes. Now it's looking very nice and our button is working very good. Now we can focus in this section. Back to our code. Now below this section tag, let's have a new section tag. That section tag is going to have an ID of blog. Inside it, I want to add a container div. So let's say dot container. In here, I want to add some padding vertically. So py-20. I will scroll up. Let's copy this div from pricing section. I will scroll down. Right here, I am going to paste that div. We don't need this div anymore, so I am going to delete this one. Let's copy this subtitle and paste it right here. Let's copy this title and paste it right here. Now save it. Back in the browser. Now it's looking nice. Now let's focus on this section. Below this div, let's have a new div. And that div is going to have a class equal to display will be grid. I want to add some gap. For medium screen and up, grid column will be 2, and for large screen and up, grid column will be 3. Inside it, let's say card number 1. Below that, let's have a new div. Inside it, let's have one more div. And that div is going to have a class equal to for large screen and up height will be 40 VH. I want to add border radius and select the extra large one. Let's say scale -100 and overflow will be hidden. Inside it I want to add an image tag and the image path will be ./image/blog1. Give it a class equal to for large screen and up height will be full and width will be full. I want to add some hover effect, so let's say hover : scale -125. Let's add transition and duration will be 300. And finally is in out. Below this div I want to add some content, so let's have a new div. Inside it let's have one more div. Give it a class equal to display will be flex, align items will be center. I want to add some gap with gap -5. I want to add some padding vertically, so let's say py-5. I want to add paragraph. In here let's say 20 August 2022. Below that let's have one more paragraph, and in here let's say 1 minute read. Below this div I want to add an anchor tag. In here let's say #blog. Give it a class equal to text-2xl. Font weight will be bold and underline. I want to add some hover effect, so let's say hover : text color will be secondary and no underline. Let's copy this text and paste it right here. Now below this anchor tag let's have a paragraph. Let's copy this paragraph and paste it right here. Give it a class equal to I want to add some line height, so let's say leading -relax and margin vertically with my-5. Below this paragraph let's have an anchor tag. In here let's say blog. Give it a class equal to display will be inline block, font weight will be bold. I want to add some hover effect, so let's say hover : text color will be secondary. Transition wall, duration will be 300 and is in out. Inside it let's have a span tag. In here let's say read more. Give it a class equal to I want to add letter spacing, so let's say tracking wider. Text transform capitalize and underline. Hover will be no underline. Now save the changes. I will scroll up and in here let's say container, and I am going to cut this div, and below this div I am going to paste that div. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now it's looking good. Let's do that for other cards. Now I am going to copy this entire div, and below this div let's paste that div for the second one. So in here let's say card number 2. Now I want to change image and content. In here let's say block 2. Let's copy this text and paste it right here. Let's copy this paragraph and paste it right here. Again let's copy this entire div, and below this div I am going to paste that div. In here let's say card number 3, image will be block 3. Let's copy this text and paste it here. Again let's copy this paragraph and paste it right here. Now save the changes. Now it's looking very nice. So in this position our block section is complete. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus on this section. Back to our code. Below this section tag let's have a new section tag. That section tag is going to have an ID equal to download-app. Give it a class equal to, I want to add background color with bg-color-primary light. Inside it I want to add a container div, so let's say dot container. Also I want to add height 80 vh, display will be grid, place items will be center. Inside it let's have one more div, and that div is going to have a class equal to text will be center. For medium screen and up, width will be 2/3, margin will be auto. Inside it I want to add an h1 tag. Let's copy this title and paste it right here. Give it a class equal to title. Below this h1 tag I want to add a paragraph. Let's copy this paragraph, paste it right here. Give it a class equal to, I want to add some line height, so let's say leading dash relax. I want to add some padding top, so pt-5. Below this p tag I want to add a new div. Give it a class equal to display will be flex, flex direction will be column. For medium screen and up, flex direction will be row, align items will be center, justify content will be center. I want to add some gap, so gap-5 and pt-10. Inside it I want to add an anchor tag. Give it a class equal to, I want to add background color with bg-color-white. Let's add some height and width. Display will be grid, place items will be center. I want to add some border radius and select the large one. Let's add some hover effect, so hover : opacity -70, and inside it let's have an image tag, and the path will be /image/ios-store-dark.png. Let's duplicate this anchor tag. I want to change the image, so in here let's say g-playdark.png. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now it's looking nice. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus our contact form. Back to our code. Below this section tag, let's have a new section tag, and that section tag is going to have an ID equal to contact. Inside it I want to create a container div. I want to add some padding, so let's say py-20. I will scroll up. Let's copy this div from block section. I will scroll down and paste that div inside it. Let's copy this subtitle and paste it right here. Let's copy this title and paste it right here. Now save the changes. Now it's looking nice. Below this div, let's create a form tag. Inside it, let's have a new div, and that div is going to have a class equal to width will be full, margin auto, text will be center, and for medium screen and up, width will be 2/3. Inside it, let's have a new div, and that div is going to have a class equal to text color will be primary dark, display will be grid. I want to add some gap, margin bottom, and for medium screen and up, grid column will be 2. Inside it, let's have an input tag. Give it a class equal to, I want to add background color bg-grade-50. I want to add some border, and border color will be gray 300. Text is small, rounded large, display will be block, width will be full. I want to add some padding, and let's say focus colon outline none, and focus colon border color will be secondary. And in here let's say placeholder equal to name. Now I want to add input tag for the email, for the phone, and for the company. Now below this div I am going to add an text area. So in here I am going to add text area tag. Now row will be 4. Let's copy this class name and paste it right here, and in here I want to add text color primary dark. And finally below this text area I want to add a button tag. In here let's say send message, give it a class equal to btn and empty-10. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now it's looking very nice. Now we can focus on our footer section. Back to our code, we forgot to add here placeholder. So let's say placeholder equal to message. Now below this section tag, let's have a new section tag, and that section tag is going to have an ID equal to footer. Inside it let's have a div, and that div is going to have a class equal to, first I want to add background color with bg dash color dash primary dark, and position will be relative. Inside it I want to add a container div, and also I am gonna give here some padding with py-10. Inside it let's have a new div, and that div is going to have a class equal to display will be grid gap 10. For medium screen and up, grid column will be 3. I want to add some padding bottom with pb-10. Inside it I want to put 3 divs. So let's say div, and inside my first div I will put the social media icons. So in here let's say class equal to space dash y dash 6. Inside it I'm gonna add an h4 tag. In here let's say about app, give it a class equal to font weight will be bold, and I want to add font size and select the large one. Let's have a paragraph tag. I am going to copy this paragraph, and in here I am going to paste that paragraph. Here let's say class equal to leading relax. Below this paragraph tag let's have a new div. That div is going to have a class equal to display will be flex gap 5, align items will be center. Inside it let's have a paragraph tag, and in here let's say follow us. Below that paragraph I want to add social media icon. So I am going to add an I tag, give it a class equal to fa-brands space fa-facebook-f, cursor will be pointer. I want to add some hover effect. So let's say hover colon text color will be secondary. That should be facebook-f. Let's create the social icon for the Twitter, YouTube, and for the Instagram. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now it's looking nice. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus on this area. Back to our code. Now I want to focus this div. Give it a class equal to display will be flex, justify content will be space between. For medium screen and up, justify content will be around. Inside it let's have a new div. In here let's say class equal to space dash y dash 6. In here let's have an h4 tag. Let's say quick links. give it a class equal to font weight will be bold, text dash large. Below that h4 tag I want to add unordered list, so let's say ul li and then anchor tag. In here let's say home, give it here a class equal to space dash y dash 3. In here let's say class equal to text will be underline. I want to add some hover effect, so hover colon no dash underline, hover colon text color will be secondary. Below this list item I want to add a list item for features, for the testimonial, for the pricing, for the blogs and for the contact. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now it's looking nice. Back to our code. Now let's copy this entire div, and below that div I am going to paste that div. In here let's say help, in here let's say about us, partners, career, reviews, terms and conditions, and finally help. Now save the changes. Now it's looking very nice. Also the hover effect is working very nice. Let me look at the reference design. Now we can focus on this area. Back to our code. Now we can work on this div. I am going to copy this class name and paste it right here. Inside it, let's copy this paragraph tag and the h4 tag and paste it right here. Let's copy this title and paste it here. Let's copy this paragraph and paste it right here. Below this paragraph, let's have a new div. So let's say div, and that div is going to have a class equal to display will be flex, align items will be center. Inside it, let's have an input tag, give it a class equal to, I want to add some width, text color will be gray, background color will be white. I want to add some padding with p-2. For large screen and up, I want to add border top left radius and border bottom left radius. So I can say p-rounded-l-md. Let's say focus colon outline will be none, and then I want to add placeholder equal to enter your email. Below this input tag, let's have a button tag. Type will be submit. Give it a class equal to, I want to add background color with bg-color-secondary. I want to add some padding horizontally with px4 and vertically with py2. For large screen and up, px will be 5 and py will be 3. I want to add border top right radius and border bottom right radius with rounded-r and select the medium one. I want to add some hover effect, so let's say hover colon opacity-90. Inside that button I want to add an icon. First I want to add I tag, give it a class equal to fa-solid space fa-chevron -right. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, it's not looking good, so let's check this out. In here let's say p-3 and that should be rounded, and in here let's say px-4. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, now it's looking nice. Now we can focus on this area. Now below this div, let's have a new div, and that div is going to have a class equal to display will be flex, justify content will be center. I want to add padding top with pt-10, border will be top, border color will be gray. Inside it, let's have a paragraph tag. In here, let's say 2023 ampersand copy semicolon light code, all rights reserved. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now it's looking nice. Now I want to show you one thing is that I will scroll up. Now I am going to scroll down. You can see the background color of header is changing, and also our header is sticky. So let's focus on that. Back to our code, I will scroll up, and in here I am going to add a class equal to position will be sticky, top 0. I want to add some z index with z-50. Now I want to add some JavaScript code, so I will scroll down, and inside this script tag, first I want to target header tag. So let's say const navbar equal to document dot query selector, and then in here let's say header. Below that I want to add window dot on scroll arrow function. In here let's say if window dot scroll y greater than 100, then I want to add navbar dot class list dot add, and in here I want to add background color primary dark with bg dash color dash primary dash dark. I am going to duplicate this line. Now in here I want to add border bottom, and in here I want to add border color with border dash color gray. Else I want to remove these classes, so I am going to copy these classes. Inside it I am going to paste those classes, and in here let's say remove. Now save the changes. Back in the browser. Now I am going to scroll down, and you can see the background color of header is changing, so it's working perfectly. And in this position our website is complete. Also we can check for the smaller device. On our smaller device it's also looking great, and it's working very nicely. Now the next step is deployment. Now I will show you how to deploy this website to the web, so you can share it with your friends, potential employers, and showcase it on your portfolio. To deploy our website, we will be using Netlify. So open up a new tab and go to app.netlify.com website, and let's sign up or log in. Once you do, that's going to bring you to your dashboard. Go to Sites tab. Now I am going to do a few things. Let's open up our folder. We don't need this node modules folder and also package log.json file. So I am going to delete these files and folder. Now close it up. Now let's drag and drop this folder inside our Netlify website. Now you can see a URL. I am going to just click on this URL and check your app right on the internet. It's looking very nice. We can also change our URL name. back to our Netlify website, click on domain setting, and in here go to edit site name, and in here you can choose whatever you want. We can say LC, which is short for lightcode dash banking dash website. Now save it. You can see our website name has been changed, and here is our new URL. And that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Press the thumbs up button to like this video. Let me know in the comment section below what you want for the next video.